Hello and good morning. I hope you guys have had your coffee. I'm drinking mine right now. But yeah, thank you for tuning in again to What I Need. This is now episode 4. So yeah, let's get into it. Alright, so I was doing some thinking, and episode 3, I don't think I really liked it very much because, as I said in episode 3, I was roadblocked for a couple days, and it was hard to come up with something. And yeah, so I don't think I did episode 3 that well. But you know what? I did it. I at least did it, and I was stepping out of my comfort zone. Now, in episode 3, I talked about how I wanted you guys, kind of like giving out a task. I wanted to challenge you guys into going out of your comfort zone and just talking to a random person and just seeing what you got out of that conversation. And so I told you guys I would do it. So I did. I did do that. So let me tell you guys about that and how that went. Okay, so yesterday, as my normal routine went, I took my daughter to school in the morning, and because I said that I was going to do that, I had to find somebody to talk to. So I did. I actually sparked up a conversation at a little mall with somebody. She was. I just went up to the person and said, "Hello, how are you today?" And they said, "Good." They were kind of standoffish, as how most people in society would be today if anybody just randomly came up and started talking to them. But we just started talking, and he said, "Hey, so why are you talking to me? What's going on?" And I said, "Honestly, I'm just doing this as a project. I want to see where this will go. So if you don't mind, if I just can take about 5 minutes of your time, I just wanted to ask, what is it that you do?" And he told me he was a construction worker. I'm like, all right, cool. He said that him and his team that he works for is building an 8-story office building. And I thought that was interesting. He said it's it's very difficult because you got to get over your fear of heights. And I said, yeah, I don't know if I have a fear of heights unless I'm really up there. But uh, I know in my dreams I have a lot of fear of heights, and that's what I'm terrified of for some reason. But so he's told me how long he's been in construction for about 10 years. He said it pays very well. And I asked him if he ever had any ideas or wanted to be an entrepreneur. He said he did, but it just wasn't for him, and he he wanted to try it, but it was just really hard. And I told him, that's entrepreneurship right there. I mean, it's going to be very difficult. There's a saying that I always say: if you think your job is hard, no matter what it is, if you think your job is hard, try being an entrepreneur. Because you're going to go through every emotion. At first, you're going to be confident. You're going to be happy. You're going to be sad. You're going to be disappointed. You're going to be thinking. You're going to be mad. You're going to be happy again. All these emotions, it's just an emotional roller coaster, being an entrepreneur. But I tried to talk to him and see how I can kind of get him into pursuing that. He said he 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 knows that it takes money to invest into yourself, but he didn't want to do that. He has um, already a set salary that he gets, the same amount, and he pays for his house, his car. And I asked him, well, what do you do with your spare time? What do you do with extra money? And he told me straight up he goes to the casino for the weekend, gambles and drinks. And I said, okay, well, entrepreneurship is pretty much like gambling as well. If you just took that same money and put it into products, even if it was just some business cards, just to start out, it would be like gambling, because that's how entrepreneurship is. It's like you're gonna get something or you're not, but you don't know unless you try. And I tried to convince that to him, but he was already set on, no, this is it. I mean, if something came along, okay, so I could tell that he was just one of those guys that is already comfortable, which there's nothing wrong with that. And if something big happened, then it's got to just fall in his lap, and then he would go from there. Because then he also started talking to me about drinking and smoking weed. I told him no, I haven't. I stopped smoking weed back in 2009. I have nothing against smoking weed, but it's just not for me. And as I said in the other episode, if you saw me at Roman's, you would look at me and be like, why in the hell is that guy in Roman's bookstore? That's true. So he, over the business part of how I was talking to him, he just wanted to talk about maybe hanging out, getting some drinks, playing some pool. He said he had a man cave, which is cool, but it's not really for me. And so what I got out of that, stepping out of my comfort zone and talking to a random person, is, and I told you guys, it could go somewhere, it could not. Mine did not go anywhere, but that's all right. What I did get out of it is you can't change people's minds. You cannot change somebody if they don't want to change. And in reality, I don't even think it's necessary to try to change somebody. Because if you try to change somebody, that's way too much emotional draining and just a waste of your time, because it's just not going to happen. People will change when they want to change. And that's what I kind of got out of this guy. And so I was thinking that for all of you guys who are trying to be an entrepreneur, I would say one of the most important things is you definitely got to pay attention to who you're around. Are they positive? Do they have the same mindset as you? Whatever you are around, you're going to become. And I had to figure that out a while back when I decided to change. And my change, when people say, okay, I changed, no, you don't just wake up and say, all right, I'm a different person. No, it takes time. I mean, it took me over a year just to change my mentality. And that was hard as hell. But I did it. But it took that long to actually just change my mentality. And on top of that, changing what you do is a whole nother thing as well. That takes a lot of work. And one of the things I did, definitely that I did, is I changed who I was around and what I was around. Because if you're around negative energy, people that are always complaining, people that are always broke, and people that think the world is always against them and it's their fault all the time, they are going to continue to say that, bring you in and try to get you to agree, and then you're stuck. You're stuck in there. And that's once you're in there, it's hard to get out because you start thinking, yeah, man, maybe this person's right. Everything does suck, and it's this person's fault, and that's why I'm not getting so far, and this and that and that. But no, it is really all up to you. And I think that was one of my biggest successes, was getting out of that type of environment. And even if that means, I don't mean complete total social isolation. What that means is just separating yourself. Because what I did was I started taking care of little things that I had to do by myself. Throughout the day, I would be by myself. When I was finally settling down to eat some dinner and go to sleep, I was by myself. And slowly but surely, instead of listening to all the negative people and the broke people that just complain, it's everybody's fault but themselves, it got me out. Because listening to that over and over just sucks you in. And who you are around, if you start being around and talking with the people that are positive and the people that have money and the people that want to succeed, those are the people that you need to be around. Because people that are positive, I mean, of course, throughout your day, there's always going to be something that gets on your nerves or something that irritates you or something that makes you mad. But I swear to God, one of the craziest things that I've developed is to shrug it off and just keep walking. Because usually I would just be extremely mad, pissed off, maybe violent, and just say, fuck the world, it's my way. But getting out of that mindset got me so damn far. And it's so weird how that transition happened, because I never thought I could change. Never, never. And being around those people, I suggest highly that you start being around people that are positive. And you know damn well you can find out if somebody is positive or not by the way they're talking. But such as what I picked up off this guy is that there's a lot of people that just sit around and maybe drink or smoke some weed or any of that stuff and just talk about stuff over and over. And then what happens during that conversation when you're drinking with a bunch of guys or girls and you guys are talking about your problems? It's like a big depressing it's like a big circle of fucking depressing shit that it turns into when you're drinking with a bunch of people. I mean, at first, yeah, all right, hey, good to see you. Let's have some drinks. Let's all sit around and drink. Yeah. Then it turns good. Then a few people start leaving. And then you're drinking and you're drinking and drinking. And you're like, hey, we're out of beer. Let's go get some more. And then what that turns into is you start going downward and downward. And then you guys just start bitching and complaining about your day and how this happens and how that person fucked you over and this and that and that and this. And you get absolutely nothing out of it. Except for tears, anger, and confusion when you wake up in the morning. that was part of the reason that I had to stop drinking. Well, more so that I needed to stop. Because for a long time, I was like that. I was like, I, one of the things with me is back then I loved to feel depressed. No, that sounds weird, but I loved feeling depressed. I would specifically look up sad music, depressing shit, songs about dying, songs about people dying, just because that's what I loved. I never knew why. Still don't really understand it. But that is something that you have to overcome. And I think by putting yourself around positive people helps you get out of. Because I met this friend of mine who's a really good friend of mine now. He is ex-military. He also was on the streets, and drugs fucked up everything. Alcohol fucked up everything. He and I were pretty similar in that department. And I met him. And he had just as many dreams of doing stuff and all about positivity. He's a little older than I am, so he's a little more wiser. But just being around him, he was the very first positive person that I decided to surround myself with. And the other people, because at that time I stayed at a hostel, and there was a shit ton of people. I didn't even know what a hostel was until I got there. Because at that time I was homeless. I was on the streets. I was sleeping in parks, sleeping in bathrooms, sleeping underneath cars because it was warm, and all that stuff. So finally, I looked up. I was looking for cheap hotels because I whenever I would save up $80, there's this cheap motel that would let me stay the night for $80, but it's a lot of money just for one night. It's not even 24 hours for $80. It's more like 10 hours for $80. Completely not okay. But I looked up this place called, well, I looked on hotels.com, and then I found this thing about a hostel, and it popped up. I was like, whoa, bed and a bunk for $25 a night? You gotta be shitting me. So I checked it out and went there. And when I went there, it was great. $25. I couldn't believe it. I handed the girl $25. Sure as shit, I got blankets, a pillow, and a bed. It was awesome. What I didn't know is hostels are mainly for tourists who are traveling. So a lot of the hostels in LA, and I think for the most part of California, require proof of travel. Which this was the only hostel that didn't require that. Excuse me. So anyways, as I'm in that hostel, there's all kinds of people. People doing drugs, people drinking, prostitutes, people fighting, people that don't speak English because of traveling. There's some real travelers in there as well. And there was all kinds of people to be around. I didn't really like being around anybody because at that time I was pissed off. You know, my ex cheated on me and rubbed it in my face over and over. I had to get my daughter back. I was broke as hell. I didn't have anything. The only thing I cared about was waking up in the morning and getting my beer. If I didn't have alcohol anywhere near me, I wouldn't go anywhere unless I Googled that there was a liquor store within 10 miles. But anyways, out of all those people at the hostel, I finally linked up with this guy. And he has been a very good friend of mine to this day. He was all about positivity. He and I pretty much decided to get sober at the same time. I decided to get sober about 3 days before him, and he remembers. Maybe one day we'll do a video podcast and we can talk about it. He remembers when I was throwing up chunks and chunks of blood. Pancreatitis was killing my stomach. I was in terrible pain and all that stuff. But when I got sober, he decided to get sober, and he was positive. He was always positive. He was all about reaching for the stars and going for your dreams. And since then, to this day, he and I are good friends. We're both sober, and we're both trying to do what we want to do. As I said, when I got sober, every single thing I did was out of my comfort zone. And since I met him, I realized the positivity that he and I both rub off on each other. Because I'm a very positive person. It was just that darkness and that depression and that nasty, dark hole in my mind that I would need to get out of. And I finally did. And then I realized who I'm around. He was all about positivity. I was all about positivity. He would bump me up. I would bump him up. And then it just went from there. So having positive people around you can impact you greatly. Because since that day, when he and I decided to be friends and continue this journey, there's a lot of great people I've also met as well. I'm not going to sit here and mention them all. There's a lot more people that I have met that are positive and motivated and believing in. And there's some people that I've met that don't even really know me that well that still say they believe in me, which tells me that person's a positive person. So, and just by being around positive people and changing my environment has amazingly got me to this point of my success. And I had a conversation with somebody the other day who wanted to talk to me about possibly public speaking. And people wanted to hear my story and that they would pay me and because they wanted to hear my success story. And I said, I don't really know if I'm down because I don't consider myself successful yet. And he said, what do you mean? Of course you're successful. I said, nah, I don't consider myself successful until I'm a damn multi-millionaire and I got my mansion and I'm taking care of the people I love and I got a good 50K just chilling in my savings, which will happen because I'm nowhere near that yet, but I will be. I promise. And that person said, yes, you are successful. You don't need all of that. Well, of course you're going to get it, but you don't need that to label you as successful. That person said, look at everything. You've been sober. You finally got an apartment. You achieved what everybody counted you out of, which is you proved to everybody, you proved to the state that that you can take care of your daughter and that you love her, and that you're going to do the best for her. I proved to the state of that. And I said, yeah, you know what? I am successful then. And that was very positive hearing. As I said, people who you are around makes a giant difference. So, if you're around any negativity, remove them immediately. Either that or just tell them, you know what, I got to take a break. we can't do this because I have dreams and I have goals and there are things that I would need to accomplish in my life, and I am not going to get that with you. Whether it's your friends, your wife, husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever the hell it is. And a lot of times, I'm sorry to say this, it's the people you love the most who hold you down. I had to learn that the hard way. But, alright guys, that will do it for today. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Go out there and slap a smile on your face and tackle whatever it is that you need to do. I believe in you. You could do it. Thank you for tuning in to What I Need. This is now episode 4. All right, guys. Have a great day.